First of all, you cannot grow, you cannot become when you're holding on to unforgiveness. First of all, you got to think about what God did for you.
Tell me about
That's at the root of everything. If you think of the fact that when you didn't deserve forgiveness, God gave it to you, then, and that's deep,
it. It is.
then you should be able to forgive us. That's the Father's prayer. Forgive us our debts as we forgive
Those
who trespass against us, right? So those who have debt against us, those who have issues that we're holding in our hearts, that's who we need to forgive in order to grow. Forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. Let go and let God. It already happened. There is no undoing it. So staying in the past keeps you stuck, and anything that's stuck becomes stagnant, and anything that becomes stagnant becomes stinky.
Hi everybody, it's your little big sis CJ Renee. We're back with another episode of The Thriving House. You know, guys, we've been staying on the topic of unforgiveness because it is a sore point for a lot of people. A lot of people aren't growing in that area or understanding the difficulty of maneuvering through it, or even processing, or even acknowledging the fact that they're dealing with unforgiveness. And so today I have a special guest for our 50th episode, my mom, the great and wonderful, honorable First Lady Pastor Josy Rey Jones, the author of, what's the name of your book again? That's a shame.
That is a shame.
The words
that
shift
destiny.
destiny. I knew the ending. I knew the ending.
Terrible.
This is my mama, y'all. So I want to have her on today as my special guest. Thank you for taking the time to come on with me today. I know you have a million other things to do. I just want to have you speak to my platform about unforgiveness, how you dealt with unforgiveness, and how you were able to overcome it. Would you be able to give us a little bit about that?
Sure. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the 50th episode. I'm grateful and I'm appreciative of that. And I wanted to say I'm proud of you and your push, to help people thrive. I think in this sense, it's also helping you thrive. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you also so much for supporting her. Unforgiveness, wow, that's such a deep subject and a real thing that people are struggling with in this season. It stems from all variety of issues and traumas and things, unmet expectations and stuff like that people have gone through. For me, it was an abandonment issue that developed into an unforgiving issue, an unforgiveness issue. And it's them with my father. As a child, I grew up in a two-parent home for the early years, right? And everything seemed fine. My relationship with my dad was wonderful, to be honest, And then at some point, he was no longer there. And as a child, I didn't understand why he wasn't there. I knew what happened, but I didn't know what happened. Does that make sense?
He just wasn't there.
He was just not there.
Right.
And so I was okay, going along life because, I had friends whose parents were separated as well, so that didn't bother me. Although, as a child, you still have these little issues like, why this or why that. You had your questions, but it didn't weigh me down. I was able to still do well in school.
Right.
I was able to do what I had to do and, get by. But my brother, as he being the youngest one, wanted to know his dad, and so when he became an adult and was able to do research, he looked for my dad and found him. My mom was having a service, and he invited my father to the service.
Gotcha.
I gotta pause and say this. I know that I've been healed from it because there was a time when I couldn't say my father. I always, when I spoke with my siblings, I said, your father.
Right.
Your dad.
Right.
It was never mine. I like if I was immaculate conception.
Right. I don't have a seed bearer.
Right. So even now I'm hearing myself and I'm like, wow, I'm really healed from that.
Yeah.
And so in that service, after everything was said and done, we tried to have a conversation, to kind of talk about what happened. And immediately I was turned off because the way he approached me was from a place of dishonesty. And I immediately shut down from that, because it seemed to me that you were not taking any responsibility for what happened and where you left off 3 little children. Like, what you're making it seem like you had no say or control in this matter. And as an adult, I know that's absolutely wrong.
Right.
And so immediately it seemed like a seed of bitterness just got planted in that moment, and I became very bitter against him. And that bitterness grew and sprung into a big old tree of unforgiveness. For years I carried that around, but ignoring it, because it had nothing to do with my circle of influence. It had nothing to do with the people I'm ministering to. But little did I know, it became an idol sitting in my heart. And God spoke to me about that. One year he came out and he said, I can do nothing further with you with this idol, because it has taken my place.
That's crazy.
And so I had to really sit with God and work it out. And the interesting thing about it is, when that revelation came, by that time my father had already passed. So I couldn't even sit with him to talk with him about it and really relieve my hurt, my thing. I couldn't do any of that because he was gone. But there is a Father.
Yep.
Jesus have mercy. God sits high and he looks low, and he worked it out for me. And so I'm grateful for that. And the healing actually did begin, and I worked through all of that to the point where now I'm writing a book about it, and I'm excited, because even in that, while I was recalling all the experiences, it was traumatic for me in that experience, and I was crying out as I was writing this book. I was it was another sense of purging in that moment. That was my way of really
Releasing.
excavating this thing and releasing that hurt. So today I'm forgiveness free. I'm unforgiveness free.
Right.
And I'm grateful for that.
Well, I do have one question for you, and then we're going to wrap it up. What would you say to someone who believes that they don't feel the need to forgive someone who hurt them deeply, or someone who doesn't think that carrying around unforgiveness, but as soon as you touch this particular area, it's a trigger, or it's a problem, or whatever the case may be? What would you say to that person?
I would say, listen, first of all, you cannot grow, you cannot become when you're holding on to unforgiveness. First of all, you got to think about what God did for you.
Tell me about
That's at the root of everything. If you think of the fact that when you didn't deserve forgiveness, God gave it to you, then, and that's deep.
It is.
Then you should be able to forgive us. That's the Father's prayer. Forgive us our debts as we forgive
Those
who trespass against us, right? So those who have debt against us, those who have issues and that we're holding in our hearts, that's who we need to forgive in order to grow. Forgiveness is not about them, it's about you.
Exactly.
And if you don't let it go, you're stuck.
Yeah, because God really can't do anything with you. And that's something that I've come to the understanding of. And you said that earlier, and that's why I was like, wow. Because it's true. You're walking around with this bitterness in your heart, in your soul, and you're heavy. So it's tough to deal with. So, if you can leave my platform with one tidbit, little word, what would that be?
Work it out between you and God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. It already happened. There's no undoing it. So staying in the past keeps you stuck, and anything that's stuck becomes stagnant, and anything that becomes stagnant becomes stinky. And nothing good can survive there. Yeah. So your destiny, your dreams, your vision, all that gets stuck in that pollution of unforgiveness. Let it go.
Wow. Well, y'all, it's your little big sis, CJ Renee, and Pastor First Lady Jones. This has been an episode of The Thriving House. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, it's your little big sis, CJ Renee, and this has been an episode of The Thriving House, where we focus on purpose, and purpose helps us find peace. And in peace, we are empowered for our thriving. Now, you know this episode touched your heart, and you know it inspired you. Make sure you share this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Love you. Bye.